Hello everyone, welcome back to the Global Alert TV channel. Please subscribe and like my videos because today we are diving deep into a story that has taken the entire world by storm. Ukraine waited for Russian troops to cross the river, then blew the bridge apart. What unfolded along that quiet stretch of river wasn't just a military maneuver, it was a moment that defined strategy, patience, and precision in modern warfare. This incident has been hailed by many defense analysts as one of the smartest tactical responses by Ukraine in recent months, showcasing their growing mastery in battlefield engineering, timing, and psychological warfare. As dawn broke across the misty banks of the Dnipro River, everything seemed calm on the surface. For days, Ukrainian reconnaissance drones had watched the movement of Russian troops who were gathering on the opposite side, apparently preparing to push forward across a newly repaired bridge. Ukrainian intelligence had confirmed that a large convoy of Russian armored vehicles, supply trucks, and artillery units was waiting for the order to advance. But what the Russian commanders didn't realize was that they were being watched every second, from above and from across the water. Every tank's position, every movement, and every soldier crossing was being recorded by Ukrainian units that had laid a quiet but deadly trap. For Ukraine, the bridge wasn't just a structure of concrete and steel, it was bait. Engineers and combat units had studied its design for weeks, understanding where to place explosive charges for maximum destruction. The plan was simple but brutal: allow the Russian troops to cross halfway, lure their heaviest equipment onto the bridge, and then detonate the explosives to cut off retreat, isolating them from reinforcements. Timing, patience, and silence were crucial. Even a single misstep could have alerted the enemy, ruining the operation. The Ukrainian forces waited in complete radio silence, their fingers hovering over the detonator as the first Russian armored vehicles rolled forward. As the Russian column began crossing, Ukrainian soldiers lay hidden in the woods nearby, their eyes fixed on drone feeds relaying every moment. The first vehicles reached the midpoint, heavy tanks followed, and soon the bridge groaned under the weight of dozens of vehicles. It was at that perfect moment, when the bulk of the enemy was trapped, that the order was quietly given. A single coded signal went out. The bridge erupted in a massive explosion that shook the river valley, sending chunks of metal and concrete into the air. The sound echoed for miles. Flames shot up as vehicles plunged into the cold, dark water below. In an instant, what was supposed to be a Russian advance turned into chaos. Those still on the far side could only watch in horror as their comrades disappeared in a cloud of smoke and debris. The explosion was not just destructive, it was surgical. Ukrainian engineers had placed their charges with mathematical precision to ensure maximum damage with minimum explosives, preserving the surrounding terrain and minimizing civilian impact. The resulting collapse was so complete that even seasoned military observers were stunned at how effectively Ukraine had executed the operation. Within minutes, Ukrainian artillery opened up from hidden positions, targeting the stranded Russian units on the near side. Cut off from retreat and supply, they were overwhelmed by the barrage. The trap had worked perfectly. The interior of this story lies in Ukraine's incredible discipline and planning. Behind this single act was weeks of intelligence gathering, analysis, and coordination between ground forces, engineers, and drone operators. It demonstrated how far Ukraine's military has evolved since the early days of the conflict. No longer are they reacting blindly, they are anticipating, predicting, and shaping the battlefield to their advantage. The operation also highlighted Ukraine's ability to use limited resources creatively. Instead of trying to hold every inch of territory, they focused on high-impact strikes that would cripple Russian logistics and morale. Every destroyed bridge means more delay, more fuel wasted, and more panic in the Russian ranks. What's remarkable is how Ukraine's forces have learned to merge modern technology with traditional military cunning. The use of drones has become their eyes in the sky, replacing human scouts and allowing precise timing for such operations. The coordination between artillery units, sappers, and intelligence teams showed a level of professionalism that surprised even NATO observers. This bridge ambush was not only a tactical success but a psychological blow. It sent a clear message: Ukraine is watching, waiting, and striking when it hurts the most. For Russian commanders, it was a grim reminder that even a moment of overconfidence can turn into disaster. In terms of performance, the execution of this operation showcased near-perfect synchronization. The timing of the blast, the follow-up artillery, and the coordination with drone surveillance were seamless. Ukrainian troops achieved their objective with minimal casualties while inflicting heavy losses on the opposing side. The performance of their tactical units demonstrated not just courage but technical brilliance. The bridge destruction also created a domino effect on surrounding regions. Russian logistics were thrown into disarray, delaying supplies and reinforcements. Ukrainian forces quickly capitalized on this, launching small counterattacks to reclaim nearby territory. The performance rating, if one could quantify it militarily, was almost flawless. The safety measures taken during this operation were meticulous. Ukrainian commanders prioritized the protection of civilians living near the riverbanks. Evacuation orders were discreetly issued days before the strike to ensure no local population was caught in the blast. Additionally, engineers calculated the direction of debris and the spread of the explosion to prevent flooding or damage to nearby homes. The use of precision explosives ensured that only the bridge and enemy vehicles were destroyed, with minimal collateral impact. This level of safety consciousness during an active war zone highlights Ukraine's growing commitment to international laws of conflict and their respect for civilian life, a sharp contrast to the indiscriminate strikes often reported from the Russian side. When we talk about unique selling points in this operation, several stand out. Firstly, Ukraine's use of patience as a weapon, waiting for the exact right moment rather than rushing into combat, proved their discipline. Secondly, the combination of engineering brilliance and battlefield intelligence created a hybrid strategy rarely seen in such asymmetric warfare. Thirdly, this was more than a tactical success, it became a symbol of Ukraine's resilience and cleverness. Social media was flooded with drone footage showing the destroyed bridge, becoming a viral symbol of David outsmarting Goliath. The image of the burning bridge wasn't just military news, it was a morale booster for Ukrainians and a warning to their enemies. Another key element that made this operation stand out was Ukraine's mastery of psychological warfare. The deliberate choice to let Russian troops think they were safe before detonating the explosives was a calculated move to spread fear and hesitation among enemy units elsewhere. Now, every time Russian forces approach a river crossing or repair a bridge, they hesitate, they double-check, delay, and question whether it's safe. That hesitation alone is a weapon. In warfare, the psychological edge is often more powerful than brute force, and Ukraine has learned to use it to perfection. In terms of cost, or what we might call the price of this operation, it was surprisingly low. The explosives used were relatively simple compared to modern missile systems, and most of the surveillance was done using existing drones already in rotation. The economic cost of destroying one bridge was nothing compared to the strategic advantage it created. The Russians, on the other hand, paid an enormous price in terms of lost equipment, manpower, and morale. Tanks worth millions were destroyed in seconds. Supply lines that took weeks to establish were erased in a moment. From an analytical standpoint, the cost-benefit ratio of this operation was overwhelmingly in Ukraine's favor. The long-term impact of this event extends beyond the physical destruction. It exposed weaknesses in Russian planning and overconfidence. Russian engineers had repaired the bridge believing it was safe, underestimating Ukrainian surveillance capabilities. This misjudgment not only led to the loss of equipment but also damaged the credibility of Russian leadership among their own troops. Reports from intercepted communications suggested confusion, anger, and a growing sense of distrust among Russian units after the blast. Ukrainian forces, by contrast, emerged more united and confident. The success served as a morale booster across their ranks and was celebrated widely across Ukrainian media and among their allies abroad. This event also reshaped the dynamics of river-based operations in the war. Following the incident, Russia began to hesitate before crossing any major water obstacle without excessive preparation, slowing down their advance considerably. Ukraine effectively turned geography into a weapon, using rivers, bridges, and terrain as natural traps. The Dnipro, once seen as a dividing line, became a shield of defense. The psychological shockwave of this single operation continues to influence Russian strategy even weeks later, forcing them to invest heavily in protection, surveillance, and bridge-building equipment that further strains their resources. Internationally, this operation drew both praise and attention. Defense analysts across Europe and the US described it as a textbook example of modern defensive warfare. Western military experts highlighted how Ukraine's forces have evolved from being reactive defenders to proactive tacticians. Even military academies are reportedly studying this case as an example of how small forces can effectively counter larger armies through timing, intelligence, and adaptability. The moral of the event goes beyond warfare, it's about the strength of will, the value of patience, and the intelligence of strategy over brute power. In conclusion, the destruction of the bridge after allowing Russian troops to cross wasn't just another battlefield event. It was a statement of Ukrainian resolve, a masterclass in precision warfare, and a testament to human ingenuity under fire. Ukraine showed the world that wars aren't always won by those with the biggest weapons, but often by those who use their minds, timing, and courage most effectively. The operation symbolized a deeper message, that even in the darkest moments, intelligence and resilience can turn the tide. As Ukraine continues to defend its land and sovereignty, actions like these remind the world why their struggle has inspired millions globally. So as we reflect on this incredible event, let it serve as a reminder that strategy and courage can reshape the course of war. Ukraine's decision to wait, watch, and strike when it mattered most will go down in military history as a moment of pure tactical brilliance. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the Global Alert TV channel for more updates, insights, and real-time analysis on global events shaping our world. Stay alert, stay informed, and see you in the next video.